Welcome back, everyone. Well, you know, we're so fortunate to live in the area that we live in. But you know what? Not everybody lives here. A lot of kids, especially, live in very urban areas in the cities. And believe it or not, don't even have experience seeing cows. Living up here, seeing the beautiful part of the world we live in. And joining me today are two women who really help those kids get up here in the summer and witness and experience the life that we get to take advantage of almost every single day, right?
Right.
So joining me is Patty Leroy Brown. Hi, Patty.
I'm good.
Nice to have you here. And Chris Catlin.
Hello.
Hello. Now, both these ladies are with the Fresh Air Fund. Now, the Fresh Air Fund is a name that we all know, but I asked them before we went on air if we could just fill in a little bit about what the Fresh Air Fund is. So, let me start with you. What is it?
All right. Well, the Fresh Air Fund was started in 1877 by a Presbyterian minister in Pennsylvania, and he asked his congregation if they would be willing to take some city kids from the city to the country for a break, for a vacation.
Right, to allow them to experience something different.
Right. So that's how it started. So today in the summer times, that's what we are looking for. We're looking for families in our areas to invite children from New York City into their homes.
Right. Now, let's talk about just a couple of the structural things involved with this. And I'm going to break it into two parts. First, the kids. Patty, let's talk about this. You've had a lot of experience. I think you were telling me you've been doing this for how many years?
49.
That's unbelievable. First, that's wonderful, by the way. So many kids. You get some of the kids come back?
Absolutely.
They
We still
do.
have one that is coming back.
I love
He's
it.
44.
I love it. All right, so tell me about, let's start with the kids. Where do the kids come from and how old are they and what's going on there?
Anyone, the 5 boroughs of New York City, they will come from. They'll be from 5 up from, I'm sorry, that's changed, from 6 up to 12, and they can continue to come through their 18th birthday as long as they're reinvited by the same family.
By the same family. Okay, so let's just structure. You're talking boys or girls?
Boys and girls.
Any race.
Absolutely.
Mostly underprivileged kids, though,
Absolutely,
right?
yes,
Isn't that the
they-
case? The ones
yes.
that would not have the opportunity to come up here.
Right.
So boys and girls ages 6 to age 12 out of the boroughs of New York,
Right.
Any of the city boroughs. And now there's a certain criteria, right? These kids are...
Low income.
Right.
They have to be eligible for the free lunch program
In their school.
in their schools, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. And they would go to their school counselor, or the counselor would talk to the family. Somehow that gets put together through the school system
Right.
and
They
the
have people
families.
down there that will take care of that, and they talk to the. There's a lot of conversation that goes on. A lot of times from word of mouth too, one neighbor to another.
Oh, I bet. Sure. Can you imagine a child that goes back
Yeah, 'cause
after
very
experiencing
excited.
being up here, what it's like for them to go back and talk to their friends about it?
Yeah, they're very, very excited. Of
course they're excited.
They've entered a whole new different world.
Yes, I've got it.
That's right.
All right. So once these kids sort of pass, not so much scrutiny, but, you know, to make sure that they qualify in a certain number of areas, then they choose to come up here. So on the other side, Chris, what's involved on our end? Who receives these kids?
Well, on our end, we go out and look for host families, and they call us, and we go out and interview them. And they also have to follow certain criteria. We do background checks
Good.
that are pretty intensive. We find out what kind of needs they have. They get to choose the gender and age of the child they want, and then the agencies in New York City make the match on their end.
Yeah, I got it. You know, in this day and age, qualifying people is really important. You
Well,
know?
it is. It is. They also have to have 3 or 4 references, and one has to be a professional. And then it's up to the chair people to call these references and make sure that that would be a great match for the New York City children.
Now, as fund representatives for the Fresh Air Fund, you know, you're not fundraisers, you're representing the fund. So it is your responsibility to seek out the families,
Right.
go through the sort of qualifying process.
And we do a lot of publicity in our own areas. In
Yes.
our own towns, we put up a lot of posters, we go to newspapers, we try to get publicity out there, and then we work with our chair people. We have a chairperson in each friendly town. We work with them to get the paperwork done and to see that matches are made.
Right, and some of these matches could be compatibility, or let's say if a child has an allergy to a cat, you got to know if the family
Right.
has a cat, and any
Absolutely.
dietary needs, anything like that. But the real objective here is to give that child that's coming out of the city, going into a very foreign kind of situation for them, to make them feel at home, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Treat them like your own.
Yes, treat them like your own. That's a wonderful way to say it. All right, so how's it going up here in terms of finding families?
Well, I think it's always hard, and every year it seems to get harder. It's families are working, mothers are working, fathers are working, but whatever they do with their own children, a lot of times daycares and summer camps, these kids could come here and be part of a day camp that the other children go to. But it always gets harder, and we're always looking for new families to take children. And they don't have to be families where there's a mom and a dad and children. If there's empty nesters,
Sure.
they can take one child or take two children. And the trips are only, we have trips now for only a week. In the past, it has been 2 weeks or longer, but now we have week trips, 10-day trips, and then 2-week trips.
You know, and the idea there is, if you're considering this, empty nesters especially, right?
Oh,
the
perfect.
children
Beautiful.
are gone. It's a wonderful. They already have the experience of raising family, knowing family, and here come these two little kids or something else. So at such an impressionable age, and you know, you said something important. You treat them like family. You don't need an agenda. You know, pile them in the car, go get a pizza.
Get ice cream.
Yeah, it's an ice cream. You know, and I forget which one of you said it before we went on air, but I said, what do they do? Because, you know, it's hard for us to realize that they don't see trees. They don't see grounds and parks. And it was about swimming, of all things. You said they want to go swimming.
They would swim every day.
They
No,
really
the
would.
2 boys I have, I put in a summer camp in the morning. We have a lake right near us. They go swimming in the morning till noon. I bring them lunch. We have a picnic at the lake, and they want to stay and swim in the afternoon. They just don't get the opportunity to swim, even though when these kids come, they all want to be like your kids, and they say, yes, I can swim, I can swim. But I tell parents and hosts, prospective hosts, don't ever trust them, because when they swim in water that's only 3 or 4 inches deep.
If they
They're
get it,
not
sure.
used to going in the water.
And water to them
So-
could be a fire hydrant.
Well,
you
it
know?
could be.
They open it up.
You know what I mean? Open up a
open
fire
it.
hydrant and that kind of thing.
So
Real
I
city
tell
kids.
parents, make sure you put life jackets on them and watch
Yes.
them to see that they could swim. And one summer, I had this 12-year-old boy who said he could swim. Well, he got into the pool and he went under, and I said, Carmelo, what happened? And he says, I could swim under, I just can't swim up.
You know,
So
the
in
kids-
2 weeks, he was swimming.
Well, you want to know something? The kids try so hard to show that
they
they're
could
part
be
of it.
like your
you know,
kids.
I think that's fabulous. Look, the need here is to be a host family. That's what they really need. Obviously, there are so many kids in need, and so many kids that would love to come up. But the whole idea, and you two really are great examples, because you do this. You bring these kids up.
Beautiful.
So what we want you to do, if you're considering being a host family, find out more information. You don't need to make an obligation. Just find out. I can tell you from talking to these two that they really feel it in their hearts to help these kids.
Passion.
And it,
right.
so that's what we want you to do, all right? And we're going to send them to our website to find out. When does it officially get rolling? July?
Yeah. Well, yeah, they come up, the first one comes up July 1st.
July 1st, okay. It's about a week's commitment, and think about the change it could make in a child at such an impressionable
Forever,
age
forever.
and
That's
time.
right.
Well, thank you so much for coming in.
Well, thank you.
And we're going
Thank you,
to
sir.
help steer some families over your way. All right?
We
I hope
appreciate
so.
this.
Yeah, good. To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.